So, Secretary of Defense, Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth had his meeting with the generals, the 800 generals, and he's talking about reamping the fitness standards for the U.S. military. He's talking about getting rid of that woke culture within the military. And a lot of that stuff made sense, but it didn't seem important enough to actually call every single general to that location for that meeting. Maybe the whole meeting was just a smokescreen, and after the press went away, they talked about some really important stuff. Maybe. But Trump shows up, and he just talks. He does a lot of talking, but at one point he mentioned using the U.S. military to deal with the internal threats in the country. He was talking about using the cities as a training ground to prepare for war. I'm just thinking, no. That's not what our cities are for. No, you need to train somewhere else. If you want to deal with crime in U.S. cities, maybe hire more law enforcement at the federal level and form larger task force to focus on major criminals who are contributing to major crime in the cities. And that'll free up local law enforcement to focus on the more of the street level criminal offenders. So those task force can involve federal agents, DEA, FBI, maybe U.S. Marshals, maybe ATF, maybe ICE, and then you can team them up with local law enforcement, because local law enforcement will know more about the area, and they'll probably know more about the major criminals that you're going after. Maybe that's something they could do. But sending the U.S. military into the cities, unless you are going to use the Insurrection Act, which doesn't make sense unless you're being invaded or something, or it's like a real chaotic situation, which we're not there. It's not like it's an alien invasion or something. Three-Eye Atlas shows up, the mothership shows up. No, that hasn't happened. Not yet. But yeah, it's definitely concerning, to say the least. Is it even constitutional? I don't think so. I don't think it's constitutional at all. I'm not a scholar, but come on. So, those are some of the things I'm a little concerned about. I don't know what's going on, but I don't know if Trump is hiding something from even the generals, but something bad is coming, because this isn't making sense. So there's something they're not telling us. Something really bad is coming, and that's just my observation. All right, Charlie Kirk. Yeah. The whole story doesn't make sense. The narrative that the authorities are giving us, it doesn't make any sense. Even the text messages that they released, they weren't time stamped. The whole story doesn't make any sense. And I think we've gotten to the point where the powers that be, they just don't give a damn. They know that they have so much power that they can just make up any story, and it doesn't have to make any sense. But hey, they just say A, B, and C. That's what happened. This is the official narrative. The media will start to repeat it. The media will be on board, and not enough people will ask questions for it to even be challenged on a meaningful level. I think that's where we're at as a civilization. That's what I'm seeing. So I think Turning Point is going to be taken over by a bunch of individuals who had a different vision for the organization than Charlie Kirk. I think Charlie Kirk was asking some questions about Israel. He was questioning the fact that he couldn't even ask questions about Israel without being called an anti-Semite. But anyway, I think the new leadership, whoever takes over, whoever the front person is, they're going to be talking pro-Israel, pro-Israel talking points. That's what it's going to be, okay? And I don't think the organization is going to survive. I do think Charlie Kirk did some great work. He was responsible for Trump's ground game. He did a tremendous job with Turning Point. Scott Presler is also helping out the GOP, but I don't see this organization lasting without a good leader who's actually going to represent America first, and also Christian values too, because that's part of what Charlie was really about. I don't know if they're going to have that type of leadership. So I don't even know if this organization is going to be around for much longer. I know a lot of people submitted applications to start new chapters, but we'll see if it lasts. It's unfortunate, but I think America's been captured. Trump was talking about some deal he had with, some possible deal he was working on with Israel and Gaza. Nothing's been signed, and I wouldn't be surprised if Israel attacked Iran again. The question is, how will Iran respond this time? Because last time, Iran, they called the U.S. and said, hey, we're going to hit one of your air bases, get your people out of there. And they sort of used that as, oh, that's their response. Unfortunately, I think the U.S. is going to look at that situation and say, hey, we bombed them last time and they didn't really provide us with any dire consequences last time, so maybe they're not able. I think it's going to encourage U.S. leadership to act even more irresponsible this time. So the question is, at what point will some of these Middle Eastern countries actually respond to Israel? I think Israel's going to attack again. I think they're going to drag us back into another war with Iran, and this time it's going to get a lot uglier. I could be wrong. Israel may hit them, and U.S. may back them, and maybe Iran won't attack our ships. Maybe Iran won't attack our air bases. I don't see any of this stuff happen. I don't see any attacks. I don't see us involved in another war involving Israel. But I think that's where we're going. All right, so I'm going to go inside, get some more canned goods or something, some more water. You guys, hope you're preparing.